If you've ever walked into your bathroom or kitchen and caught a whiff of something foul, almost like sewer gas creeping up through the drain, there's a good chance you've got an S-trap hiding under your sink. And here's the thing. S-traps have been against plumbing code for decades now, but they're still lurking in millions of older homes across the country. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the complete process of replacing that outdated S-trap with a proper P-trap the right way, from removal all the way through testing. Plus, stick around to the end because I've got a bonus tip that can save you from one of the most common mistakes I see homeowners make with this exact repair. Let's get into it. Replacing an S-trap with a P-trap is one of the smartest upgrades you can make to an older home's plumbing. It's not just about following code. It's about protecting your family from sewer gases that can actually make you sick. And the good news is this is a repair that most homeowners can handle in an afternoon with basic tools. So let's start by understanding why S-traps are a problem in the first place and what makes a P-trap the correct solution. Now, before we pick up a single wrench, I want you to understand exactly what's going on under your sink and why this matters so much. If you look at an S-trap, you'll see the pipe comes down from the sink drain, curves into a U shape to hold water, and then curves again downward into the floor. The shape of the whole assembly looks like the letter S on its side. That water sitting in the U-shaped curve is called the trap seal, and its job is to block sewer gases from coming up through your drain and into your home. Here's the problem. Because an S-trap drains straight down into the floor, the water rushing through it can create a siphon effect. Think of it like when you suck water through a straw and it keeps flowing even after you stop. That siphon pulls all the water right out of the trap seal, leaving it bone dry. And once that trap seal is gone, there's nothing stopping sewer gas from flowing straight up into your living space. That rotten egg smell you're catching? That's hydrogen sulfide. And it's not just unpleasant. It can cause headaches, nausea, and worse, with long-term exposure. A P-trap solves this problem completely. Instead of curving back down into the floor, a P-trap exits horizontally through the wall. That horizontal run connects to a drain line that's properly vented, which means air can enter the system and break that siphon before it ever drains your trap seal. The shape looks like the letter P on its side, hence the name. Every modern plumbing code in the country requires P-traps, and once you understand why, you'll never want an S-trap in your home again. I've walked into older homes where every single sink had an S-trap, and the homeowners had just gotten used to that faint sewer smell. They thought it was normal. It's not normal, and you deserve better. All right, let's talk about what you're going to need for this job. For tools, grab yourself a pair of channel lock pliers, a hacksaw or a PVC pipe cutter if you have one, a tape measure, a marker or pencil, and a small bucket or towel to catch any water that's sitting in the old trap. You might also want a flashlight handy so you can see what's going on inside the wall or floor cavity once you open things up. For materials, you'll need a 1.5-inch P-trap kit. That's the standard size for most bathroom sinks. If you're working on a kitchen sink, it's usually the same 1.5-inch size, but double-check yours before you head to the store. You'll also need a section of 1.5-inch PVC pipe, a couple of PVC couplings or adapters, depending on your situation, PVC primer, and cement. And here's the important one, an air admittance valve, which most folks call an AAV. I'll explain exactly why you need that in a few minutes. The whole lot should cost you somewhere between $25 and $40 at any hardware store. When you consider that a plumber would charge you $200 to $400 for the same job, that's a pretty nice savings for an afternoon's work. By the way, if you're finding this advice helpful, you should know it's just a small sample of what I've put into my new guide, The Ultimate Plumbing Playbook. It's packed with step-by-step instructions for hundreds of repairs that can save you thousands. To grab your copy, you can scan the QR code on the screen right now, or just use the first link in the description below. All right, let's continue. Now, it's time to get that old S-trap out of there. First things first, if you have a sink with a shutoff valve, go ahead and turn off the water supply. You don't strictly need to shut off the water just to remove a drain trap, since the trap is on the drain side and not the supply side, but I always do it anyway. It only takes a second, and it prevents any accidents if someone turns on the faucet while you're elbow deep under the cabinet. Better safe than sorry, especially when you're working in a tight vanity cabinet. Place your bucket or a thick towel directly under the S-trap. There's going to be water sitting in that trap, and it's not the cleanest water you've ever seen, so be ready for it. Now look at your S-trap connections. You'll typically see slip joint nuts at the top where it connects to the tailpiece coming down from the sink drain, and at the bottom where it connects to the drain pipe going into the floor. These are usually hand tightened or lightly wrench tightened. Grab your channel locks and loosen the top slip nut first by turning it counterclockwise. Then loosen the bottom connection the same way. On older homes, these nuts might be stubborn. If they're really frozen on there, a little penetrating oil and about 5 minutes of patience will usually do the trick. Don't force them with excessive pressure because you can crack the fittings, and if that bottom fitting cracks where it enters the floor, now you've got a bigger project on your hands. Once both nuts are loose, carefully lower the S-trap assembly down and let it drain into your bucket. Set it aside. Now, take your flashlight and look at that drain opening in the floor. You're going to see a pipe stub sticking up, and this is the pipe you're going to need to modify. In most cases, this pipe goes straight down into your floor and connects to the main drain line somewhere below. What we need to do is reroute things so that your new P-trap exits through the wall instead of the floor, and that's where the planning comes in. Here's where a lot of folks get tripped up, so pay close attention. With the old S-trap removed, you need to figure out how to get your new P-trap's horizontal arm through the wall and connect it to the drain line. In many older homes, the drain line runs vertically inside the wall cavity right behind the sink. If you open up the back wall of your vanity cabinet or look behind it, you may be able to see or access that vertical drain pipe. What you want to do is cut into that vertical drain pipe inside the wall and install a sanitary T fitting. The horizontal opening of that T is where your P-trap arm will connect. The height of this T matters a lot. You want the center of that horizontal opening to be somewhere between 6 and 18 inches below the sink drain, and it needs to be lower than the bottom of the sink's tailpiece. I typically aim for about 8 to 12 inches below the drain opening. This gives the water a nice gravity-fed flow without too much drop. Measure from the center of your sink drain straight down to where you plan to install the T. Then measure the horizontal distance from the wall to the center of your sink drain. Write these numbers down. You're going to use them to cut your PVC pieces to the right length. I always add about a 1/4 inch of extra length because you can always trim a pipe shorter, but you can't make it longer. Take your time with these measurements. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people rush this part and end up making 2 trips to the hardware store. Now, for the main event. Let's get your new P-trap installed, along with a proper vent. Start by cutting into the vertical drain pipe inside the wall at the height you measured. You'll want to cut out a section that's the exact length of your sanitary T fitting. Dry fit the T first to make sure everything lines up. The horizontal opening should face straight out toward your sink. Once you're happy with the fit, prime and cement all the PVC connections inside the wall. Let me be specific here. Apply the purple primer to both the outside of the pipe and the inside of the fitting, then immediately apply the PVC cement to both surfaces and push them together with a 1/4 twist. Hold it for about 10 seconds. That joint is going to be solid. Now, here's the critical part that makes this whole thing work. You need a vent. Without a vent, your brand new P-trap can still lose its seal, and you'll be right back where you started. In an ideal world, your vertical drain pipe continues up through the roof as a vent stack, and by tying into it with that sanitary T, you've already got venting handled above the connection point. But in a lot of older homes, especially where S-traps were originally installed, there's no proper vent nearby. This is where your air admittance valve saves the day. An AAV is a one-way valve that lets air into the drain system to prevent siphoning, but it doesn't let sewer gas escape into your home. It's approved by most building codes for exactly the situation. Install the AAV on a short vertical pipe stub coming off a T-fitting, positioned above the P-trap and above the flood level rim of the sink. That means the AAV needs to be higher than the top edge of the sink basin. Most people mount it inside the vanity cabinet toward the top. It's out of sight but accessible if you ever need to replace it. With the wall connection made and the AAV in place, now connect your P-trap assembly. The curved trap piece connects to the tailpiece coming down from your sink drain using a slip joint nut and washer. The horizontal trap arm extends from the other end of the curve straight into the wall where it meets your new sanitary T. Tighten all slip joint connections hand tight first, then give them about a 1/4 turn more with your channel locks. You want them snug and not cranked down. Over-tightening is one of the fastest ways to crack a plastic nut or deform a washer. And then you've got a drip that'll drive you crazy. Once everything is connected, it's time for the moment of truth. Turn your water supply back on and let the faucet run for a solid 30 seconds. Get under there with your flashlight and check every single connection point. Look at the slip joints on both ends of the P-trap, the connection where the trap arm enters the wall, and any cemented joints you made. You're looking for any drips, any weeping, any moisture at all. Run the water, then stop it, and watch for another 30 seconds. Sometimes a slow leak won't show itself until the water stops flowing and the pressure changes slightly. If you see a drip at a slip joint, don't panic. Just snug it up another 1/8 of a turn. If it's still dripping, take it apart and check that the nylon washer is seated properly. 9 times out of 10, the washer just shifted during assembly. Also fill the sink basin about halfway and then release the stopper all at once. This sends a big rush of water through the trap and tests whether your venting is working properly. If the water drains quickly and smoothly without any gurgling, you're golden. If you hear gurgling, that tells you there's a venting issue, and you'll want to double-check your AAV installation. Let's talk about some common problems you might run into and how to solve them. First, if you notice a slow drip at the slip joint where the trap meets the tailpiece, this is almost always a washer problem. Either the washer is installed upside down, which happens more often than you'd think, or it's an old washer that's lost its flexibility. The beveled side of that washer should always face up toward the sink. Replace it with a fresh one and you should be leak-free. Second, if water drains very slowly after the installation, you might have a partial blockage where you connect it to the existing drain line. When you cut into that older pipe, debris and old buildup can shift around and create a clog. Run a small drain snake through the new connection to clear it out. Third, if you're getting gurgling sounds when the sink drains, your vent isn't working properly. Check that the AAV is installed above the flood level of the sink and that it's functioning. You can test an AAV by gently pressing on the top. It should move freely and spring back. If it's stuck, replace it. They're only about $8 to $12. Fourth, if you smell sewer gas even after the new P-trap is installed, make sure the trap actually has water in it. If the sink hasn't been used in a while, the water can evaporate. Just run the faucet for a few seconds to refill the trap seal. If the smell persists, check all your cemented joints for gaps. Even a tiny gap in a PVC cement joint can let gas through. Fifth, if the P-trap doesn't line up properly with the wall connection, you may need to use a flexible trap adapter or adjust the position of your sanitary tee. Don't try to force pipes into alignment. Stress joints will crack over time and give you a leak when you least expect it. The good news is, if you follow the steps we've covered, you should be able to avoid most of these issues entirely. Now, for that bonus tip I promised you at the beginning. Once your new P-trap is installed and working perfectly, take one extra step that most people skip. Apply a thin bead of clear silicone caulk around the escutcheon plate where the trap arm enters the wall. That's the decorative ring that covers the hole in the wall. Most people just push it against the wall and forget about it, but that gap around the pipe is a highway for bugs, cold air drafts, and yes, even sewer gas if there's a tiny leak somewhere behind the wall. A clean bead of silicone takes about 2 minutes to apply, and it seals that gap completely. I do this on every single trap installation, and it's one of those small details that separates a professional-looking job from a DIY job. Plus, it helps prevent moisture from getting into the wall cavity, which can lead to mold over time. Trust me, your future self will thank you for taking those extra 2 minutes. Before you go, I want to make sure you know about my complete guide, the Ultimate Plumbing Playbook. It goes way deeper than we can in a single video, with 85 pages covering everything from clearing any clog to replacing your own water heater. If you want to stop wasting money on simple fixes, this book is for you. Just scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description to get your copy. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one.